This is the Algebra 1 Unit 1 review that covers Module 1 and Module 2. Let's get started. Here are the first two questions on your review. This is for the Solving's Equations standard. So in a question like this, if we have parentheses, one option for solving would be to distribute this 2 to each of the terms inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to draw a little arrow here because I'm going to multiply those numbers together, and then I'm going to multiply these together. So in the end, what I'm going to get is make that a little smaller, 8 plus 6x is equal to -4. Now, in this case, I have eliminated my parentheses by using the distributive property of multiplication. Next, I need to isolate this variable term here. I'm going to do that by using inverse operations to move this 8 to the other side of the equal sign. Since it's a positive 8, I'm going to subtract 8 from this side and also subtract 8 from this side. It's going to leave me with the result of 6x is equal to -12. And then I can see in this term right here that that 6 and that x are tied together by multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 6 on this side and then also divide by 6 on this side. Once I do that, I'll get my resulting answer of x is equal to -2 because -12 divided by 6 is -2. So that would be my answer for this question. Okay, moving on to number 2. This question is different because I have a variable term on the left side of the equal sign and a variable term on the right side of the equal sign. So what I'm going to do is actually move those variables to the same side. And I am going to move the smaller of the two options. So 12h, that's pretty large. 3h, that one's a smaller h term. So I'm going to do the inverse to that. So I'm going to subtract 3h from both sides so that I can eliminate those the variable on one of those sides. So 12h minus 3h is going to leave me with 9h. I still have my -8 on this side and then equals the 3h minus 3h is going to cancel. That's 0, so that goes away, and I'm left with 46 on this side. Now I still am trying to isolate this h, so I'm going to move this 8, and it's a -8, so I'm going to actually move it to the other side using the inverse operation of addition. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Now, once I do that, I'm going to get this result of 9h is equal to, and that will be 54. Lastly, I have this 9 is tied to this h by multiplication, and the inverse operation to multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 9, because if I do something to one side, I have to do it to the other side of the equal sign. And then it's going to give me my final answer of h is equal to 6. Okay, so that's the first two questions. Let's go to the next two. These questions are a lot more involved. As you can see, there's multiple terms on this side, and there's the distributive property on this side. So in this first question, or first part, I'm going to keep this left side the same. Actually, I could simplify these two parts. So if there's not a number to be here, or written here, it's understood to have a 1 there. So 1x minus 2x is going to give me -1x, or just -x. So I'm going to write -x. And then I have the +6 still, so I'm going to write that. Then equals. And at this time, I'm going to distribute this 3 to the x term and to this -1 term over here. So going back to my equation that I had here, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times -1 is -3. So here's my equation right now. I combined like terms on the left side of the equal sign, and then I distributed on the right side. Now I need to move my x terms to the same side. Looking at these two x terms, I have a -x and I have a +3x. It's easiest for me to move the smaller of the two. Obviously this -x is going to be smaller, so I'm going to do the inverse operation to move it to the other side. So I'm going to add x to this side and I must do that to this other side of the equal sign as well. That's going to leave me with 6 is equal to 4x minus 3. I'm still trying to eliminate the x, or sorry, I'm starting to isolate the x. I have it here on one side of the equal sign, so that's great. The next thing I'm going to do is try to move this constant to the other side. Since it's subtracting 3, the inverse operation to subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides to eliminate that constant on that side. And I'm going to be left with 9 is equal to 4x. Now, this is tied together by multiplication. So the inverse operation to that would be division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. And then I can just leave it like that. You can give me the decimal answer if you'd like to. I would accept 9/4 is equal to x as well. Okay, so that's it for that question. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 has a constant on the left side, but we have parentheses here, and we have this other term over here as well. So I'm going to keep my 17, and then let's distribute this 2 to the terms inside. So 2 times 3x is going to give me 6x, and 2 times 1 is going to give me plus 2, and then I still have that minus x on the outside from over here. All right, now that we have that, on this right side we can combine like terms. I have 6x and I have a minus x. So I'm going to keep my 17 is equal to 6x minus 1x is going to be 5x, and then plus 2 is still over there. Now I'm trying to isolate this x, but first I have to remove this constant. Since it's adding 2, I'm going to subtract 2 to both sides of the equal sign. And I like to line these up right underneath so you can see which terms actually go together. So now I have 15 is equal to 5x. Now the inverse operation to multiplication again is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Divide by 5, and that will eliminate, or this will simplify to 1, so I'm going to get 3 is equal to 1x, or just 3 is equal to x. Okay, here's the second standard that will be on this test. It's the dimensional analysis, and the kids kind of know this as conversions. So what you're going to do is you're going to convert 63 kilograms to pounds. And I already have this set up a little bit for the sake of my ease doing this question. But we're going to always start with what was given to us. So right here, I'm going to put 63 kilograms. And then we always put it over 1 to make it a fraction. Now I'm going to use this conversion factor in order to simplify this. So we have 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So since the kilograms were on the top of this one, I'm going to put the kilograms on the bottom here because I want the unit to cancel out because we're multiplying these fractions. So 1 kilogram goes on the bottom and 2.2 pounds goes on the top. Now looking at this, I can see that my unit, my kilogram, is going to cancel with my kilogram. And then I'm just going to multiply straight across. So I have don't have my calculator with me. So I have 63 times 2.2 and I'm going to get on the top, when you multiply those two things together, you get 138.6, and the unit on that is pounds. And then on the bottom you have when you multiply straight across here, you get 1. Now looking at this, you can see that when you have those two things, dividing by 1 does not change the value of it, so 138.6 pounds would be my final answer. And then you could write that over here on the answer line. So 138.6 pounds. Okay, this next one. Sherry walks 2 kilometers every morning. How many miles is this? So 1 mile is 1.61 kilometers. So here, let's go ahead and set this up. She walks 2 kilometers. So we always start with what's given. So we're going to do 2 kilometers. and that's over 1 because we're going to make this a fraction. Now we're going to use this conversion factor in order to do this problem. Since I have that 1 mile is 1.61 kilometers, I'm going to put that in a fraction now. I have to decide which number goes on the top and which number goes on the bottom. Since kilometers are up here on the top for this fraction, I know my kilometers are going to be down here on this one because I want that unit to cancel out. And when I'm multiplying these, if I have one on the top and on the bottom, it's going to cancel out. So that goes there, and then that goes there, and I have 1 mile on the top. So looking at this, my kilometers are going to cancel with my kilometers, and I'm left with miles, which is good. I'm trying to convert that to miles. So multiplying straight across, 2 times 1 is going to give me 2 on the top here. And then 1 times 1.61 is going to give me 1.61 on the bottom. And then the unit on this is going to be miles. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the top one here. Ooh, that's interesting. Now, you would divide those out, and then that would give you your answer. For this case, it's some kind of decimal answer. I don't have my calculator with me, so type this into your calculator. 2 divided by 1.61, and your answer is going to be in miles. Make sure you actually fill those in. Okay. We have a couple more conversion ones. So an ice cream machine fills in a carton at a rate of 144. Sorry, I ran and got my calculator. Let's read this again. An ice cream machine fills a carton at a rate of 1,440 pints per hour. How many gallons are filled per minute? So again, I'm going to start with the conversion or the rate that they gave us, and that was 1,440, and that's pints, and that's pints per 1 hour. So writing this in here, it really helps me to know where my next ratio is going to go. So they said 1 gallon is 8 pints. So I'm going to put 8 pints on the bottom here because I want the pints to cancel. And when we're multiplying fractions and we have something on the top and on the bottom, it will actually cancel. So then my 1 gallon is going to go on the top here. So my pints are going to cancel with my pints, and I am going to have gallons left, which is great. Now I want gallons per minute. So looking at an hour, I know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. So I'm going to kind of write this up here. You guys should know this. 60 minutes in 1 hour. So that same fraction is going to happen here. I can make either one of those goes on the top to figure out which one I want. So I'm going to put 1 hour on the top because the hour and the hour are going to cancel. And then I'm going to put 60 minutes on the bottom here. Okay, now I have these 3 fractions, and I'm going to multiply these all together to get what I desire. So let me cancel out my hour and my hour. So multiplying straight across here, 1,440 times 1 times 1 is going to be 1,440, and that's gallons. Then on the bottom, I'm going to do 1 times 8 times 60. So multiplying those things on the bottom, I get 480, and that would, the unit left on that would be minutes. So then divide these two numbers out, I end up getting that it's a rate of 3 gallons per minute. And then you can write that fraction or that rate on your answer line. Okay, so the pints canceled with pints, hours canceled with hours. I was left with gallons per minute, which is what I wanted. Gallons per minute, 3 gallons per 1 minute.